Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Motivatarian Exchange. I'm your host, Dionne Woods, with my lovely guest here today, Royce Hunt. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I feel so weird that this is literally our first conversation and we're doing it here on a
Right?
podcast. But you know what? There's no time like the present, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, everybody, Royce Hunt was in the summer volume of the Turquoise Iris Journal. Believe it or not, we have actually sold out of this. So we're in
Oh,
transition
awesome.
with new printers, and our new printer does things a little differently. And I had to estimate how many copies we were going to sell. And thanks to creatives just like Royce, Michelle Allen, Lori Siebert, and all the other ladies, we sold all of our copies. So if you subscribe at this date or moving forward, you will receive the fall volume as your first volume in our subscription. However, you can still get the digital copy for $15, and you can have that for eternity. And you can flip through on your computer day after day for as long as you'd like. So I just wanted to thank everybody, new subscribers. Royce, thank you for sharing, spreading the word about the Turquoise Iris Journal. We're celebrating 5 years.
That is so awesome. That
Isn't
is
that
so
wild?
awesome. It goes
Well,
by like that.
it really does. It goes by like that. And we've learned so much, which in hindsight, I can say is a good thing. But sometimes it doesn't feel very good when you're going through
Yes.
it. um, I want to read just a little bit, short little bio pieces that we wrote about you, Royce, in the Turquoise Iris Journal before we dive into some conversation. It says Royce Hunt is a passionate mixed media artist, an educator, and the creative force behind Roycycled Treasures. With a deep love for upcycling and decoupage, she believes that creativity isn't just about making, it's about transforming both objects and lives. At the heart of Roycycled Treasures is a simple belief. Creativity is for everyone. It doesn't require perfection, expensive materials, or years of training, just like the willingness to try. Through inclusion, inspiration, and encouragement, Royce invites people from all walks of life to embrace the joy of making and experience the transformation that creativity can bring.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, welcome, my friend. Tell everybody where you are and kind of how do you describe what you do, Royce?
It's funny. Right now, this moment, I'm in my backyard in my little she shed, which is my studio. Um, but I'm in Safford, Arizona, a tiny town. Our population in our entire county is about 30,000. So we're pretty small here. And I empower women. Most of my like really close customer base who I work with directly are women like me, right? We're in our third act and we're not running around taking forgotten books and cupcakes and football pads anymore. And, you know, um, it's a time in your life where you have time and you start
Mm,
remembering the things that used to bring you joy. Because as women, I think we lay them down voluntarily, right? Because we love our families. And over the years, we just kind of voluntarily lay down things that bring us joy. And so it's like a renaissance, if you will, a rediscovery of who we are. Aside from our families and our careers, just us alone, like who are we and what matters? And
I love that
reminding
question.
ladies that they matter, right?
They really do forget sometimes, don't they?
Yes.
And we've seen
Yes.
that. And we too, both have probably also felt that.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
our focus for the summer volume was wander. And we kind of took that inspiration from going to Round Top, Texas with my curators and wandering through all those buildings. And so, what does the word wander mean to you? And do you ever get a chance to do that?
Oh, yes. I love picking. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I just went on. I love it. My husband and I, when we travel, like we're weird, right? We want to find the local restaurants. We want to find the honey holes to go picking.
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah.
He's supportive. He doesn't care about the picking part, but he loves seeing me happy though. He's so funny. He's like, babe, we have two storage containers now. maybe you should do something with the things you have already so you don't, before we go shopping. But then we'll go, like we went to Vegas and he's looked up all the thrift shops in Vegas for us to go visit. I'm like, you have to pick a side of this argument.
Oh, that's so good.
So when we wander, I love food, like love food. So we're usually looking for like local places owned by local people, and food that's like regional. You know, I want to experience other people's cultures, and then um, just
I love that.
yeah, I don't know why I love. I mean, I know why I love picking. It's because my mom loved picking, and I don't know. It's just
It's
one of the many things she instilled in me, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing that about your mom. I rebranded recently and took this podcast from Paint Talks, which it was for 4.5 years, and switched it to the Motivatarian Exchange, because I kind of found myself in this space of really thriving in the motivational area, where I want to break down how we are motivated, why we're motivated, and how we're all motivated differently. And
Hmm.
so I have these pillars of like courageous expression and compassionate community and connected growth. And I'm just curious, when your motivation feels far away, or you could be struggling, or um, just maybe in a lull, if you've ever gone through something like that, what is your go-to action, or it could be a ritual that kind of helps you connect with your why?
Oh my goodness. There have been a lot of times. It's interesting because you'll have people that will say that they wish they could do what I do, which anybody can, by the way, right? It's not that far from anybody to do what we do, but um, it's hard, right?
It's not easy. Like, so
It's,
have you ever had someone go, "I don't wanna work as hard as you."
yes.
I have had it's like, "Oh, I don't wanna work that hard." No, 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 no.
And so I have moments where there's a few things when you talk about like motivation. For me, my motivation um is my family, right? Even though they feel like I neglect them sometimes for my business, but the reality is they are my motivation. I would
Mhm.
like to build something that my grandchildren will benefit from, right?
Yeah,
And I'm not always motivated. And sometimes, honestly, the thing that I'm learning to do, probably the last like year and a half, is to recognize that I can't be 100% all the time. Right. And so
yeah,
when I have those moments where I'm spent, I've learned to give myself permission to rest because it's better to rest than to quit.
yeah.
And so
That's good. It takes time to recognize that in yourself though, doesn't it?
it does. Now, there are
Um,
moments where I can't rest, obviously.
yeah, it's like you don't get that option. It
You
just
don't
don't
get
get
that
that
option.
option.
Yeah.
When you mentioned your family, it reminded me that sometimes I find my motivation in things like thinking about my grandmothers or my great grandmothers, and thinking about what they would think about what I get to do right now.
Right.
And I'm going to complain about something, a customer service order, or like I'm going to complain about something or not figuring out how to do something. And I just think, man, I can reset so quickly when I think about what they would think about what I get to do, or the luxuries that I have and the hardships that they endured. And I say, what was I thinking? Feeling
I am
sorry for myself
so
for just a minute.
incredibly blessed. I have two pictures by my desk. Well, I have a lot of stuff by my desk, but I have a picture of my grandparents by my desk,
Mhm.
and I have a picture of myself. I think I was like 8 years old in that picture because a lot of conversations I have are with 8-year-old Royce.
Oh, that's good.
You
Yeah.
know,
How does that go?
usually it's interesting because when it comes to like work and getting things along, I'm usually talking to my grandparents over here. But when it comes to like carving time out to practice my art, to make time for creativity, to allow myself, to experience things, then those are usually the conversations I'm having with 8-year-old Royce.
Mm,
And
I love
so,
that.
yeah,
You mentioned your mom earlier. Was she the first person that really instilled the picker in you? Was it your
Oh my
grandparents?
gosh, my mom was hilarious. My mom was so big, like, I mean, personality wise, she
Yeah.
was huge personality. And her nickname was Sugar. People call her Sugar.
Sugal? Oh,
Sugar.
I love that.
Yes. Sugar girl, I guess is what it is, but it's Sugar. Yes. And so people would come to our house and they would be like, "Oh, Sugar, I love that chair." And she'd be like, "Girl, I got that for $2 at a yard sale." Like, legitimately. And
Yeah. So
so
the better the deal, the more proud she was of herself, right?
exactly. And
Absolutely.
I remember me and my roommate had our first apartment in college, and we had a couch, and I think we had like an entertainment center, the brown ones. You remember
Yes, of course.
those. And everything else was milk crates, the coffee tables, the side tables. I mean, we had beds, but like bedside table, it was all milk crates, right? We're broke college students. And
Sure.
my mom came to Tucson one weekend and she was just looking around our apartment. So she drags us out to go yard selling, and we found
Oh.
all this stuff, and like our apartment looked legitimate after that because we had real furniture in there.
Yeah. Like a little $2 here and a $3 here, and it starts to add up with a little bit
Seriously.
of style that mom added to your dorm or your
Ex-
apartment.
yeah. And honestly, there was one chair in particular. It was one of those metal, the swivel rocking chair, but it's like but it looks like a lazy boy. Anyways, it's a very specific kind of chair. It had the metal bottom. My roommate literally, I am 55 years old this year, and Jackie is 2 years older than me. She just got rid of that chair like 10 years ago. I'm not kidding you.
She kept it this whole time. That's
It was
that's
a
some
really nice
quality.
chair. That's the point, right? When
That's
you buy
quality.
things that are vintage and they're still in good shape, they've already survived 50, 60, 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to survive another 50, 60, 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
The things that people make now have staples and plastic, and they're just not made the same.
Not at all. When people would start giving me a hard time, Royce, online about painting furniture, the first thing I learned to react with was like, "Are you kidding me? I actually love furniture so much that I'm restoring it. I'm giving it new life. Like I'm picking it out of the side of the road. Like I love it so much that I'm not ready to see it in bulldozed. Like you don't understand. Like you've got this backwards, like please understand that I love it so much because of the quality, right?
Yes, exactly. And we are
Yeah.
literally saving these pieces from roadsides and thrift stores and yard sales and barns. I just did a
Yeah.
barn pick recently and we salvaged a lot of stuff, but the roof had fallen in the barn. And so a lot of it, we weren't able to salvage it for it to be what it was. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
had to take the legs and, just take all the bits and pieces and repurpose them to other things. But still,
Still.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's all a process. But that's it. We're rescuing things. We're saving old things. So you actually some people just get it wrong. They see it wrong. Um, has motivation always come naturally to you, Royce? Have you been a self-starter your whole life? Or was this something that you had to cultivate as you got older?
I'm the firstborn. I won't say I'm the oldest. I'm the firstborn. And it really has been. But I think it is, yes, I've pretty much always been a self-starter.
Mhm.
Um, just being I mean, I only had two siblings, so it's not like I was the oldest of like 15 or anything, but there was a level of responsibility being the oldest
Sure.
one. And my mom and dad divorced when I was young. I don't know how old, young. And so my mom was a single mom and we were a team. And when she
Yeah.
had my brother, I begged for him. I pleaded
Oh,
for her to please give me another baby. But we were a team, and I think I kind of grew up, I laugh because my mom was a huge personality. But I was the firstborn of the baby. There's a very specific like um it's interesting. So I'm the oldest, and my mom's the baby of her family. And so in a lot of instances, I was more of the adult in the situation. You
sure.
know, so I think a lot of it comes just from that. but I have always been a kind of bullheaded. And if I see something and I can make a way to get there, I'm going to figure it out.
I love that. I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out. And I'm probably going to skin my knee and I'm going to fall. You know what I mean? Like it's never a straight shot, even when I think it's going to be.
You just got to keep going though, huh?
Yeah. You just figure that along the way and you keep going.
Are there people in your life that truly kind of help you stay motivated? Are there certain people? And how do they influence your creative process?
My husband is a godsend. He really is. And we married late in life. And so when we got married, we live in a small town. So people are like, how's married life treating you? I'm like, you probably have to ask David because I'm the crazy one in this relationship. He is so grounded and so level that it really is. So he's like, the saints am I crazy? And so it's like this perfect thing that happens with us. And he helps me stay focused more than anything because I can be a little squirrely with ideas. But he is really my top cheerleader. And it's interesting because I've been doing this for a really long time now. I don't even know how long. That's how long. I'm going to figure it out. And my boys, I remember my youngest would come in and I would be doing a live in the living room, right? And he's like telling his friends, oh, my mom is crazy. She's talking to her friends like, they just thought I was crazy. This whole time that I've been building this business, my kids are just like, and that's all I had for a long time. And even people who live here, when I walked away from my full-time job to do this, they were just confused. Like, is she going to just paint furniture at her house all day? Like, what is she doing? So people don't always see the vision. And so it's really, really such a blessing to have my husband with me who does understand and he can see the vision. And so he's the yin to my yang. He's my partner in crime. And so having him is such an incredible blessing.
Oh, I hope I get to meet him one of these days. He's kind of sounds like Matt. Matt's the rock. Matt's like the one that cleans up after me, that listens to my all my ideas, is very, realistic at sometimes. And other times he just lets me go, figure it, because he knows I'll figure it out. Especially if I'm too fired up. I'm like, don't stop me. Don't try to stop me now. It's not going to work out for you or me. Like this is a good one. We're rolling on. And I am dying. You have 2 boys?
I do.
Me too. And so, they would tease me and I'd have my phone answering questions or, doing stuff or looking in my membership group and answering the question. Oh, sure. Mom's working. Or I would do lives. And just like you said that, like I'm over here and their friends would come over and they're like, what's she doing? And I'm just like, shh. To all the boys, all these teenage boys, and they want to sit down and watch me. And I'm like, like get out of here. And you have to like get out off of the screen and you're like, leave the room. Nobody interrupt me. But it's true that like nobody was doing what I was doing in my vicinity, in my circle of friends, in my family. And you would see family members pop up on the screen and you'd see them and they would say, hi, Dionne. And they'd comment. And I'm like, oh, hey, cousin so-and-so, trying to make a living over here.
Yes.
Doing something a little bit different, a little unconventional. And I would like to think, which I know this is what you did, Royce. I know without a doubt, you inspired so many people, even if they didn't understand what you were doing or why you were doing it. They saw your courage and they saw your bravery and they stepped into like, it doesn't have to be black and white. It can be like this.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so.
I know so.
I mean, I know there are some people that, yes, I've inspired. Like I'm sitting here looking at my membership. They're visiting right now. They're so funny. And a lot of them, I just had one of my members just started her YouTube channel, right? She's been wanting to do it for years, right? Yeah. And so I have a quote. I need to put it in here. I used to have it in my office at work. And I can't remember it exactly, but basically, just by like being brave in your own journey, you will influence and inspire the people who see you. Like you don't have to be on a mountaintop saying a speech. You can just, live your life. My grandfather used to say, you might be the only Bible anybody ever reads.
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
love
cry a little
that.
bit,
Yeah, that's
right?
wow. Yeah, that's
And
powerful.
so you walk in your life and you live in honor, and um, you treat people right. I don't know, and that's where it's so much more than, telling people what they should be doing, or, you know, any other thing that people do.
I just think that you and I have met enough creative people that they say, well, that's for her, but not for me. I could never do that. And if they take their power back because they've given it to everybody else, but if they ever get to the point where they do take their power back and they try the thing, or they think, maybe I could do this, something similar, but in my own way, boy, that evolvement, that everything that happens, that transformation that we get to witness,
Hmm.
it's something else. It's like life giving to be able to watch that within another woman.
I will tell you that I started taking classical art classes. I started taking like little master classes like about a year and a half ago, but I got
Okay.
really serious this year, right?
Okay.
Signed up in January, making the investment. I believe you spoke at the graduation for the program that I'm in. And I realized something profound. It's like art is like any other craft, in that you learn the things and then you do the things. Like, that's it. Like, I don't have to be some person that's just, I mean, are there people who are naturally gifted? Absolutely. Right.
Of course.
But just because there's LeBron James and Michael Jordan doesn't mean everybody else doesn't get to play basketball.
Mm.
So why do we count ourselves out just because there are extremely talented artists out there? And so I am on this mission, and I am so serious, to bring art to people. Because what happens, I remember last year I taught a class, and I don't know if I called it color theory, I may have. And there were people who said, oh no, that's not for me. Like, the historically, the part of the world that has had access to art has done such a good job of convincing the rest of the world that it's an exclusive club, that people
Mm.
automatically exclude themselves. Like, they don't even have to do it anymore.
Automatically. Yeah. If they haven't sold something, they're not an artist. Or if they aren't professionally trained, they're not an artist. And I say, by goodness, if you created something for nothing, I don't care if you
Yes.
made a tissue paper out of flowers, out of tissue paper. There's an art to that. There is an art with linking words. So I, your alarm goes off when someone says, "Well, I'm not an artist," and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm sorry, I can't be quiet any longer."
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel
And
that.
so and honestly, in our niche, right, you have these women who are painting these gorgeous pieces of furniture, or, they're creating these beautiful pieces. And whether you have a name for what the tools you're using or not, you're using them, right? And so, anyways, I'm on a
Yeah,
mission. I am on a
I love it.
mission. I am just, um, I'm sneaky though. I've learned I can't tell them what I'm doing, because then they won't participate.
Oh, that's a good mission to be on, Royce. When was the last time that you created something that truly scared you or intimidated you, but in a really good way?
Honestly, my first assignment, well, one of the first assignments for the art program that I'm in is the oil painting. I've never touched oil paint before, right?
Yeah.
And we have to do this under, and it was just like you said, how you do something good and you almost like, that's your emotion, right? And I don't know why should it be fearful? I should have been excited, right? And so, I do the subtractive painting, and
Mhm.
it's not perfect, but like, I didn't use a projector, I didn't trace it, anything. I did everything from scratch, and it's hanging in my studio. My poor husband, this is my crafting studio, my art studio's in the house, in the extra bedroom. um, and it's so interesting because I did that painting, And there was that moment of like paralyzed. I don't know. It was so weird. Like, and I don't know if it was like, what if I can't do it again? Or what if it
There it
was a
is.
fluke that I was able to do this? And then for me in particular, standing in there in my studio, I was proud of what I had done, even though I recognized, it wasn't perfect. But then I go to post it in the community for this course. And of
Mhm.
course, there are insane artists in there. Like these people are just absolutely insanely talented. And then all of a sudden, I'm not proud of my work.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I've gone through all this because I have a mindset coach who I work with,
yeah,
right? And so I
yeah.
was talking to my coach about it, and she goes, and I didn't realize that it was that moment. It's funny. I've done a lot of work, Dionne. But even with all the work that I've done, I did not see all this until after I talked to my coach and we looked back over, because I
Sure.
didn't do any more assignments for a long time after that one. Like I was dealing with this huge resistance and I couldn't move forward. And she's like, well, why do you think? And we identified that that was it. I shared it in the community. And of course,
Mhm.
we know comparison is the joy killer, right?
Absolutely.
And so, and then I see everyone else's work and I'm just like, oh, now me, I'm telling my people, my membership all the time,
Yeah.
not to compare
Yeah,
yourself. And
you're coaching them, and then you know the thing, but you are also human.
yes,
We're all so similarly woven together in that same thread of insecurity and comparison. It's just whether you let yourself get stuck there, right, Royce? Like, am I
yes,
going to get stuck here, or am I going to
no,
recognize it and say, I can also keep going?
absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
difference. That's the difference. And that's when we reach the point of like, I let it stop me so many times before in my life. And when do I reach this point where I no longer let it stop me and I go take my power back and I go chase my dreams? Because with the proficiency, with the being prolific and painting every single day, you're going to get better and better and better and better. And everybody has to start somewhere. And that's what you would tell anybody.
It is.
You would tell anybody that.
And it's why I have like an Instagram specifically for Royce Hunt art.
I
And
follow you.
oh, so you see I wanted to start from the beginning though, because I want my audience to see me, right?
Mhm.
Going through the same insecurities that they're going through in their journeys and to be
Absolutely.
encouraged by it, to be
Absolutely. I was
encouraged
telling
by it.
everybody the other day, um, I think it was in my finger painting group, and I said, I am some kind of crazy. I said, it hit me the other day that I actually taught myself how to paint live right in front of you. For the last 8 years, I would go live 3 times a week, painting on canvas or furniture, teaching myself what kind of dummy does that? But then I
It's
thought that's how you build the really, truly authentic relationships because I'm literally like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I have painted some really ugly things right there on camera, and I don't know if it's courage, Royce, I don't know if it's ignorance, but it's just me, it's my journey, and it's not like yours or anybody else's, but that's
hmm
how I learned. That's how I put my business together and said, "In order to do this, I have to mix these 2. So if I get to paint, I have to do it on camera because I have to create content. That's my marketing. It's the only thing I really have time to do because I gotta get to the baseball park." So it's
yeah.
like I wasn't realizing what I was doing, but now I can look back and go, I actually taught myself how to paint on camera live for everybody to see and everybody to judge. And every once in a while, I'd say, "This is really ugly. Please don't unfollow me." Don't unfollow me. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll try to clean this up a little bit. But it
And
was
that's
fun.
subjective too, because there's somebody watching you who's just starting thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I can do what she's
It's
doing.
true. It's true. It's true. There's always somebody watching you inspired by what you're doing. Thank you for pointing that out. Um, how do you keep curiosity alive in your day-to-day work, especially through the mundane tasks? If it feels repetitive or overwhelming, how do you get curious?
I am always nosy, Dionne.
Oh, I
I
love
cannot even
this.
help myself. It doesn't take much.
I love it.
It little bit. That's what I say. I'm nosy, curious. Apples, oranges. I am all because I can see one little thing and it will spike like a whole nother thing in my brain. Um, and so that part of me is just probably too active sometimes,
I love
honestly.
that, though.
When I talk about like really honestly, like I am like, what do the kids say? I'm neurodivergent, right?
Okay.
I am not, my mind does not work the, typically. And so generating ideas is the fun part for me. And now
Yeah.
that I have ChatGPT, it's like it's good and bad. It's good and bad. Because I can go on my phone and drop an idea and right there in like 20 minutes have it all fleshed out. Right?
Yep. Yeah. It's like this chat GPT is supporting my bad habit of having new ideas. And it's like, it's not a bad habit, but it does make things easier. And it does create this sense of empowerment, maybe. Do you feel that way? Like, do you feel a little bit more empowered when you're like, okay, this is a good idea? And actually, I like how we've laid this out.
It does. It feels good. I mean, it does feel good, but now I have more like plans on the shelf. Only now they're complete plans, right? Before they were like ideas on the shelf.
Now
Now
I'm
they're
like,
like binders on the shelf, complete
yeah.
plans.
Now and I'm like, chat, which I call it Buddy. It's my nickname. Would you mind getting me some more hours in the day while you're at it? Because I'm gonna need some of them.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
totally.
I mean, but they're there and I live by, this is what I used to tell people about
Okay.
the way I kind of see my world is I do think that I'm led, right? I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I think of all the things on my own and that I'm, solely responsible for um, my success. I am led. And when I'm obedient, I see success, right? And often I'll say, this is what it feels like when something big is coming in my life. I'm in the moment right now. It's interesting. I have no idea what exactly it's going to be, but my grandparents lived on a dirt road.
Okay.
And my grandpa had a Ford F-150, and you could see like from far away. And I don't know why I always knew it was his truck and not somebody else's truck, but you could see the dirt kicking up on the dirt road when he was coming, and I knew he was going to be home any minute, and I would be so excited because I love my grandfather so much.
Oh,
That's what it feels like in moments like these, where I know something is coming, and I know I'm being led, and I know I'm being prepared, but I don't know exactly what it is. But I can see the dirt's being kicked up. Know what I mean? And I know it's
absolutely.
coming. And so for me, my job is to make sure I'm prepared
Mhm. It's a good line. That's a good
for whatever
story
that
too. Oh
is.
yeah. I love that analogy of the dirt's kicked up. It's stirring. Something's so we don't know exactly where it's going to settle and exactly how it's going to settle, but when it does, be ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. Have you ever reached a point where you almost gave up, Royce, or thought, I don't know if I want to keep going with this particular thing, or this is all just too hard?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 2 years ago in November. So
Okay.
during the pandemic, it was so hard to get, when you're a manufacturer, I had at that time, I had like 300 retailers and the demand for the product was so insane,
Mm,
right? And at the same time, my manufacturers, having problems having employees who are healthy and getting
yeah.
machinery fixed. And, um, you know, our production is here in the US, but the world is complicated. Like supply chain is complicated, right? So the paper mill that he bought paper from was having problems getting the binder that they used to make the paper. So we had all
Mm,
these things that were happening, and my manufacturer used to ship directly to my retailers, and I felt just out of control of the whole situation. And then there were instances where the manufacturer would maybe change a binder. This is what happened once. They changed the binder that they were using to make the paper, and it impacted how the ink sat on the paper.
oh,
So then when we went to decoupage with it, it was like picking, you know, and it was something that we didn't know was going to happen, but we had already shipped out like 30,000, I don't even know how many sheets of paper, right? Anyways, there were all these things. I
no.
didn't have control over quality. I didn't have control over delivery. And so I made a decision that I was going to warehouse, and I completely changed my business model completely. girl, I don't even think I've ever been in a warehouse before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had no, and normally when I have an idea, I can at least have a semblance of a plan to be able to move forward.
Sure.
And as long as I can see, because the Lord never lets me see the whole picture, because Lord
No,
forbid
no, 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 no. That's a bad idea.
that be the case, right? But I can usually see like far enough ahead that I can feel okay. I had nothing. I had no prior experience. I And when I tell you nothing, I mean nothing. And because I couldn't see, I froze. And I mean like about 3 months,
Oh,
I froze. And I was just like, maybe this is the end. Like maybe I just can't do this. And I really did spend a legitimate amount of time having those thoughts. And then it's so weird. I'm telling you, when I tell you I'm led, I am so serious. So I'm scrolling on TikTok and this lady comes on and she was talking about the way we speak to ourselves. And she said, so often when we find ourselves in hard situations, the questions we ask ourselves are, what was I thinking? How did I think that this was going to work out? What on earth did I think was going to happen here? You know what I'm saying? And they're dead end questions. They don't lead us anywhere. They just spiral us and keep us in that negative space. And she says, but what if you ask yourself quality questions? Like, what
mm,
are 3 things I can do today
mm.
that will move me closer to my goal? And it was just that one freaking 30-second video. And I'm not even kidding. So I got up every morning and I started asking myself quality questions about what I needed to do, what it was going to take, how I was going to get this done. And once I started walking in my power, then everything started falling into place. And I mean like small things. Like I had an assistant working for me
Mhm.
and she's like, Miss Royce, I bet you that if I fold these papers like this, I can package them like this. Wow. Alrighty then. That makes perfect sense. Like it was just crazy. And I mean, when I say 3 things every day, I don't mean like, 3 grand things. No, it would be things like check my listings on my Shopify,
Okay.
right? I had to start
Yeah.
off with things that felt completely doable,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Otherwise, it was just too the magnitude of doing the tasks would be too overwhelming.
Yes. And so I
Yeah.
start off with these really simple tasks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you complete those. And then you gain confidence. And so then you start targeting larger tasks. And then you start breaking down the really big ones. And I just started moving forward and moving forward. And I got back to being myself and being able to work and being able to get things done. But it wasn't quite 3 months, but that's long. It's a long time in business to be, um, frozen.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're running a business, 3 months is a long time. Even 3 days can be a long time sometimes,
Hmm.
depending on the how many people it's going to impact.
Well, I
Um,
was still running my business as is, right? I just wasn't moving forward on this. And at the same time, mind you, I signed a lease. So I'm paying utilities and I'm paying, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm making these
yeah.
investments and I was still sort of moving forward. We're cleaning the building, we're painting. So I'm still moving forward on the things that I know how to do, but I still recognize that there was this huge portion that I had no idea how to move forward on. And that's in the place I was frozen. So I wasn't completely frozen. Like I can't afford to do that. But you know what I'm saying?
For
But there were
sure.
moments during that time where I was like, maybe I just don't want to do this, you know. Um,
Yeah, when the answer is not clear, sometimes it feels like maybe you're being told this direction, or maybe you're missing a sign, or maybe this is the direction you're being led in, and it doesn't mean that something greater is not coming, but you eventually have to just discern that and decide yourself.
yes.
Yeah, and
And for me, if I was going to make that decision, it was going to be because I gave 100% and tried and it didn't work, not because I couldn't get started. And that's just how I'm
absolutely.
wired, I think.
One of my favorite questions to ask someone is if you were sitting across the table from your 8-year-old self and she looked at you every single morning and said, "Okay, what are we doing today? that will push us forward towards our dreams? What are we up to today? And we're looking at our 8-year-old self. That's a hard question to answer. And then that girl's going to ask me that every day.
Every day. I will tell you. So I started reading The Artist's Way. It's one of
Yes.
the reasons why I have that 8-year-old picture by my desk, because I'm writing my 4 pages every morning.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm talking to my 8-year-old self, like literally.
And what are you telling her?
So
Or what is
most of the
she
time she's
telling you?
telling me stuff. She's the bossy one. Um, it's just, remembering, Dionne, I did not have like a horrible life. It wasn't horrible, but it was hard, right? My mom was a single mother in the 70s. And being a person of color in this country comes with added challenges. And I just have to remind myself, to your point earlier, the reason why I have my grandparents' picture there, like my mom, I get a lot of my entrepreneurial spirit from my grandmother.
Yeah.
That woman, I think about, she owned a house in like 1960 something. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but like, I shouldn't say she, my grandfather is there too, but my grandmother was really the one. They would go out to the field at 4 a.m. work. She took in laundry. She did housekeeping. You know what I'm saying? She sold dinners on the weekends. Like, she had a vision for what she wanted. And my family moved here in the early 50s. And the way that the area was laid out was, there was a farmer's house, and then you had all the migrant farm worker homes that were around it.
Okay.
My grandmother wanted that house.
The farmer's house.
Yes. Yes. And she was focused on making that happen. And I'm telling you, she did what she needed to do to be able to work and save the money in a time where there was not a lot of opportunity to make it happen. And that's the house I remember,
She
because
bought that. She bought that house.
she bought that house. Yes. And I feel like that's where I get that part of me from. My mom was an artist at heart, even though she never got to explore that part of her creativity, really. Although I took care of my mom, and she had dementia, and she forgot a lot of things. But I will tell you, those sketches, I have so many sketches in my house. She never forgot that. That part never went away.
She never forgot it. Wow, that's wild, isn't it? The way the mind works.
Mm-hmm.
Royce, I think that's such great motivation, because you can say, everything that your grandmother did and your mother went through, let's make it worth something.
Yes.
Not that it's not, it is worth something, but you can remind yourself, even when we come together at a retreat or a workshop, I'm like, ladies, let's make it worth this 4 days together, because how many people want this opportunity?
Right?
People would have loved and killed for this opportunity to be doing this. So let's get all in and let's make it worth it.
Yeah.
Right?
I am literally my grandmother's dream. Like, that's how I see my life. My mom and my grandmother. Literally.
That is so moving. Everybody, did you hear her say that? She is literally her grandmother's dream, living her grandmother's dream.
Yeah.
And being able to recognize it. There's no self-pity in that. I mean, you can feel sorry for yourself a minute, and then, your husband's there to say, "Come on, buck up, let's go." But seriously, that's what I mean when I think my grandmother doodled on some, some little paint here and there, just some of the things that they used to do. And I just think, yeah, thank you for saying that. You are your grandmother's dream.
Yeah.
Living it right now.
And that's a privilege, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It is a privilege. Thank you. Are you working on something, and it might be your art, because I know you're working with the school right now that you're working on, but is there something that makes you feel brave every single day that you're working towards this next thing, or this goal that we can cheer you on, we can be a part of?
Honestly, when I say this is a movement, like what the work that I want to do, because there are a lot of artists in our niche who don't see themselves that way. And some of it is the way that they see themselves, but a lot of it is just the skills. right? And it's interesting, Dionne, being in both worlds right now, because I'll say I'm going to decoupage this on this piece, and over there they'll say they're going to collage it. I'll say, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that people in our niche are already doing,
Uh-huh.
right? They don't recognize that it's that. And then there are also some fundamental things that people just don't know. And so my mission is to teach those fundamentals in our space. But apparently I have to do it in a way that I don't call it what it is, because if I do, they won't participate. So I'm on a mission. I am
Okay.
on a mission to bring those fundamentals to our niche. And, I have a retreat coming up in April.
Okay.
And in my last retreat, my ladies, they're so hilarious. They didn't know what we were going to do. And I did it by design. We worked on all the pieces in the course up to the last day. Well, the second to the last day. And then they got to put things together. And some of the ladies, oh my gosh, I know they wanted to choke me out, because we made like this huge master board, and then I gave them like a window. I'm like, okay, now you got to pick your favorite piece. They're like, what? You want me to cut it? Oh my gosh. You got to pick
Ah,
your favorite piece. And so we learned about
that's fun.
composition. We did color theory. They learned how to mix their own colors. There was so much that I was able to weave into the weekend that was fun and engaging. But they get to walk away with that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's theirs now
Mm-hmm.
to integrate into whatever creativity they choose.
That's
And
wonderful.
so that is my mission right now, is to create a movement. And I love it because when I look out across our niche, I always say I feel like there's like a field of energy where creativity lives, and all of us are just plugging into it. Like none of it belongs to us,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you will see a common thread, and it's not because anybody's copying anybody. It's just that we all plugged into the same message. And so when I look out, I see Debbie Baird, and I see what she's doing with her paints, and with color theory and her new
Mm-hmm.
stencil lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Lynn Brundage, and I see what she's doing. And so it's like we're all kind of on this wavelength, which is exciting for me, because that means it really is a movement, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and I get to be a part of it in my
I
own
get to be a
crazy,
part of it.
wacky way. Yeah.
I've always said, ladies, with the furniture industry, we're going to paint the stuff anyway. So we might as well elevate our message. We may elevate our brand. So let's learn how to do it like the quality. And then let's incorporate our own personal charisma and our own personal narrative into it. And let's spend the time getting better at our craft. Like let's really devote to ourselves so we can say to the world, oh, we're here. Oh, we're not going anywhere. We're going to do this, and we're elevating, and we're supporting each other, and just lifting each other up. And we are artists.
Yes.
We are absolutely creating art. Whether it's collage, whether it's any of decoupage, it's all such an art form. So I'm on your movement, sister. We're so much like a twin. I didn't know that, but we are very much like that. My Courage on Canvas retreat is in 2 weeks, and people are sometimes surprised when they get there because it's not as much about the technique as it is about the courage to be on
Mm-hmm.
the canvas, believing they have space in the room at the table. And the first thing we do is drop those inhibitions, and we drop down those walls, and we're like, let's get to the good stuff. Okay. We don't have
Yes.
time to mess around with insecurities. Let's get to it so we can make a difference. Royce, I've enjoyed this so very much. What I want you to do is tell all of our listeners today how they can find you, how they can learn from you, where they can go, and all the places that you are.
You can find me at roycycled.com, which is kind of like my central hub for everywhere. And I'm Roycycled in all the places: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest. So at
Perfect.
Roycycled. Yes,
And you've got a retreat coming up in April.
I do. I was getting ready. I mean, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to close up, but I was getting ready for our messaging for this year's retreat. So I was going over our exit videos yesterday.
Yeah.
And there I am crying like a damn fool in front of my computer, just listening to the ladies, because it is such a transformation, and it's not just about the art. It just isn't. It's about transforming people. And that is just, that's the gold.
It really is the gold, the transformation. And the
Mm-hmm.
other thing is understanding that that transformation is available to everyone.
Yes. Yes.
It's
All you have to
available
do
to
is say
all.
yes.
Say yes, or have someone drag you through it. But either way, we're getting through it.
There were a couple of people that were dragged there too, but they were glad.
Royce, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, please go check out, scroll down to the show notes and find the links that we've added there about Royce. Check out her upcoming workshops, catch her on a live, learn from her on YouTube. Go check out the digital copy of our summer volume of the Turquoise Iris Journal. And we will see you all back in the very next episode of the Motivatarian Exchange.